What's up?
What's up guys, welcome to another video. So in this video I'm going to be going over how to deal with Rain's 133 string, particularly like with all the options that he has with it. Because from this string he can literally do like 6 different things. He can stagger this. If you have Hydro Burst on, you can go into Hydro Burst. You can do 133, you can do 134, you can do this to the low and this to the enhanced low. So on the surface it looks like you have to deal with like 6 different things and you have to guess which one he's gonna do and then pick your response accordingly. Now of course you don't have to guess because this game has a lot of option selects you can do. Now can you option select all 6 of those options? No, you can, but you can option select 3 or 4 at any given time. But before we go over all those option selects, let's talk about how do you deal with each situation individually. So let's talk about if he staggers. So just like any stagger, if you think they're gonna stagger, you're gonna press buttons, do your mid, do a poke, after you see them stagger when you think they're gonna stagger. Now if they do the full string, you'll get hit. Now in general in this game, you can OS most staggers. It's called like a fuzzy mash. I used to call it Eli Tech in previous videos. And to give you an example, let's say you want to OS, his back 2 1 string. Is he gonna stagger just the back 2 or is he gonna do the whole back 2 1? And what you want to do is you want to press poke or a mid or whatever during the time you would be in block stun of second hit. So basically what that means is, he does this mid, you press a button at the same time as the second hit is hitting you. You press it more when they're in block stun. Like, when you get hit by something, there's some frames that you're stunned by the opponent's attack because you have to block for a few frames or whatever. So in that time, that's when you want to press a button. Because if they were to do the whole string up to this point and you press a button while you're in block stun, nothing will come out. And if they just stagger it, then your button will come out and then you can take back your turn and do your thing like that. Now that works for most stagger, but if you're staggering something that has a flawless block gap in it, like the ending of this string, this has a flawless block gap. Since the delay is so big, if you were to fuzzy mash, it wouldn't work. Like if Rain were to do 1-3 and then go into a poke immediately, and you were to press buttons at the same time, you'd be in block stun of the third hit of the string, you will lose because there's such a big delay between the 1-3 and the 1-3-4 that by the time you press your button, it'll be too late. So you can't fuzzy mash off strings like that. So for this particular stagger, if you wanted to challenge it, you just have to just assume they're gonna stagger and just go for your mid, go for your throw, stuff like that. Because by itself, it's -7, so it is technically your turn, but you can't OS them going into this and then you pressing a poke. You can OS it in a different way with some special moves, but we'll get into that. Okay, so how do you deal with if he goes to 1-3 in the Hydro Burst? Well, if he does Hydro Burst by itself, obviously it's punishable. The issue is when they enhance it and they come down with different things. Now against most characters, Rain can guarantee make himself safe. So for example, I have Flawless Block on. If I do a jump kick at the right timing, he won't be able to flawless block it. So I messed up the timing, he was able to. Let me see if I get the timing right. You see that? He was not able to flawless block my jump kick, which basically means is if he blocks the Hydro Burst and tries to press a button down 2 or whatever, he's gonna get hit by that jump kick because he doesn't even have enough time to flawless block, which means you don't have enough time to press any other button. Now for some characters like Rain, if you crouch block the Hydro Burst, you will be able to punish it. So here's why. If you see the Hydro Burst, it has like 2 little water puddles that come up in front of it. So you see if Rain is stand blocking, both of them hit. But if Rain crouch blocks, one of them whiffs. So you see how that one just goes right behind him? And since that one whiffs, you're not in as much block stun as before, so you have more than enough time to anti-air no matter what Rain does in the air. But of course, there's only some characters that can do that. I don't know which one specifically, but I know like a lot of the cast, they have to hold the 2 little water puddles no matter what. And at that point, it becomes a little bit of an RPS. Is he gonna do the perfectly timed jump kick so he makes himself safe? But at the same time, after the jump kick doing it that high, you see I'm -8, -7, -6, so then it'll be your turn at that point. Or instead, is he gonna go for a jump punch, which you are able to anti-air, but he can make himself +3, +4, +5, go into his mid, and it's his turn. So if you're a character that's not able to avoid the second little water puddle, then you have to play a little RPS thing. Alright, the next part, 1-3-3, the last part to hide, you can just duck it. 1, 3, 4 is a flawless blockable gap. You can just flawless block this. The low, whatever, you just block the low, and then the enhanced low, you just keep blocking. All right, let's go over the first OS, which I think is the most important because you're gonna be doing this little OS within the other OSs. And it's pretty much how to deal with the low water. So basically the low water, the mix-up is, okay, so you can do the regular one by itself, which is -20, or enhance it to make it -8 with the pushback to make it safe. On first glance, it looks like you have to guess because, oh, if I try to punish this, I can get hit by the enhanced version. Well, that's not entirely true. You can deal with both options, and again, it deals with fuzzy mashing, which basically means you just delay your punish a little bit. Because if you look at the frame data, the first hit comes out in 21 frames and it's -20. The -20 is important. Then if you enhance it, the startup of the second part is 6 frames. So that means is you want to delay your punish by about 7 frames. So that means you still block the second hit and you still have enough time to punish it. So let's say you delay it at the perfect timing, 7 frames, but let's say you miss a frame, you delay your punish 8 frames. So if you delay your punish by 8 frames, that makes this from -20 to -12. Okay, so it's -12. Most characters have an 11 frame mid, some have a 9 frame mid, and heck, you can punish it with a 7 frame or 8 frame high. So you just delay your punish a little bit, and if he just does this version by itself, you get your punish. If he enhances it, you know, whatever, you just block it. You're still your turn, but -8 with good spacing, but you don't get hit by the second part. And it's actually not so bad to do. Like, you know, if it's the first time doing it, of course it's going to be hard, but you know, you just practice it a little bit and you'll get the timing. All right, so let's deal with the next OS. Now this is the only OS I really have to like deal with the stagger because, like I mentioned before, how it has a flawless block gap at the end, so you can't do the regular OS you normally do, but you are able to OS between a stagger and the hydro burst. The reason why is the hydro burst comes out in 8 frames. Now, because it comes out in 8 frames, you know, you can do the little fuzzy mash OS for this as well. So basically what you want to do is, with this stagger, you want to press poke or mid or something at the same timing you would block the first little water thing that comes out. Now, if you're a character that if you crouch block, you're able to avoid the second water, then I'd recommend doing it with a poke. Reason being is, you know, you press poke at the same time, right? You'll be in block stun of the first hit of this. So if he does the hydro burst, you do the poke, nothing comes out, the second water is not going to hit you, so you don't have to worry about blocking again. It's just going to whiff behind you, and as he goes up, you have plenty of time to anti-air, so you can cover both options. And if he goes for a stagger and tries to press the button after the stagger, your poke will come out and your poke will beat him. Now, of course, what the Rain player can do to stop that, they can just stagger, block your poke, and then it's their turn again. But of course you can do this OS with a mid as well. It's harder, but you can do it with a mid. But if your character is able to dodge the hydro burst, it's better to OS with a low attack because remember, if you stand up, the second water thing is going to hit you and then it's going to make it a lot harder to OS. Like if you're a character that cannot avoid the second hit, you can still do the same OS with a poke or a mid. So let's say he does this, whatever, I do my mid, at the same timing I block the first water. But after you press that mid, you have to press block immediately, otherwise the second hit of the water is going to hit you, and he can probably get not as good of a combo, but still some kind of combo on you, because if he enhances it, it comes down with a jump punch or whatever. But if you're a character that cannot avoid the second hit of it, you have to press block right away after you do your little fuzzy mash. Alright, for the next OS, I would say this is the safest one. It's just very simple, just the fuzzy guard overall. Because like the overhead, that comes out in 16 frames, and the low comes out in 21 frames. So all you gotta do for the string is, you know, you're just chilling, you're blocking, like you see them do the string, like okay, you just block overhead at frame 16, 17, 18, whatever, and then you just switch to blocking low, and then you combine the first OS I showed you with punishing this. You do the fuzzy, you block overhead, you block low. Once you see them do this, you're like, oh, okay, he went for the low. Let me do a little fuzzy mash, So if he just does this version, I can punish it. If he enhances it, okay, whatever, nothing comes out. So you just combine those two OSs together. Now this loses the stagger because he can stagger and grab you because you're worried about blocking the overhead and whatnot. You won't get hit by the Hydro Burst because you're blocking. But remember, since the first part is an overhead, even if your character is able to crouch block the second little water thing in the Hydro Burst, you're going to be standing. So that means Rain has the ability to make the Hydro Burst safe. Now, of course, he can mistime it. Of course, he can go for a jump punch and you can punish it. If he goes for the jump kick, that's safe. He's still -6, -7, so it's clearly your turn. But you missed that punish, but you're safe from everything except, a stagger and the grab. So it's a pretty safe option overall. Covers most of the things. Alright, so the last OS I have for the string, it involves flawless blocking this, blocking the low, punishing the enhanced low, and also flawless blocking if he does this. Yes, you are actually able to flawless block if he does that. Even though normally I put flawless block, you can't. There's actually a way to do it. Now it's very hard. You only have 1 frame to get it down, when most flawless blocks you actually have like a 3-frame window overall. But basically how that would work is, right, you see him do this string, you crouch, you're just crouching, not blocking at all, then you stand block at the right timing, the flawless block this, and that also allows you to flawless block the 1-3-3. Then you crouch immediately after you go for the flawless block just so you can block the low. So the way you flawless block the 1-3-3 is you have to look at the active frames. So the last hit of the string you see comes out in 13 frames. And we know if you do the string with the flawless block gap, the overhead comes out in 16, so you need something to come out in 16 frames or later for you to be able to flawless block it. And then let's see the active frames. Oh, okay, the last hit of 1-3-3 has 4 active frames. That means it's active on frame 13 because that's the startup, on frame 14, on frame 15, and frame 16. So what does that mean? Since this is a high attack, we can crouch the first 3 active frames, and if we stand up on block on the final active frame, that means you're able to get a flawless block punish, and that works out great because that's the exact same time you can also flawless block the overhead. So that means you're able to flawless block both of those and then crouch to block the low. And then you may be thinking, well, if you're gonna also fuzzy guard and flawless block, you're not gonna be able to do a flawless block up 2 and get a punish. Well, that's not entirely true because you don't have to do a flawless block up 2, up 3 immediately. You can delay the timing. And that gives you actually enough time to react because you're doing OSs and reacting at the same time. You're doing the fuzzy guard OS with a flawless block. If you see like, oh, I got the flawless block, you can react and then do the up 2, and you have enough time to punish. Now, just so you know, if they do the 1-3-3 and you flawless block the last hit, he can still cancel into a special move. So if you see you flawless block the 1-3-3, it's safer to go for an up 3 punish, or just no punish at all, to be honest, because if you go for a flawless block up 2, then he cancels to some other special move, you are at risk for getting hit, just so you know. But definitely, if he does this string, you can delay up 2 punish every single time and get a full combo. So let me just prove to you real quick that you actually can flawless block this. So this OS is pretty good, but just so you know, it loses if the opponent does this in the Hydro Burst. Reason being is you have to unblock in order to go for a flawless block, right? Or to even duck the last hit, you have to unblock. So if you're not blocking, you can get hit by this. That's the only real risk you have to worry about, and of course you can get hit by a full combo, so it is risky. But, if you're doing other OSs and you kind of condition them like, okay, Hydro Burst is not really going to do anything for them. Now, of course, if you're a character that can do it safely every time, it may not be good to do this OS because they can just do it randomly, whatever they want, and be safe, But either way, it's good for you to know. So let me show you how it looks. So yeah, that's pretty much it for dealing with this string. Now, I'll say the safest option is definitely for the fuzzy guard. That whole, when I just showed, the whole flawless blocking thing, That's very hard to do, and it's very risky because, like I said, they just go for a little hydro burst. You're not blocking, you know, you're gonna get smacked. So that's a very risky one to do, but again, this game is about read. So if you read how your opponent is doing things, then maybe you do want to go for that OS. But you never want to just totally guess what you're gonna do, you know. Try to do option selects just to cover as many options as possible. And the best way to get good at them is just practice. Just practice, 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 and you get it down. So anyway, guys, that's about it for the video today. If you guys enjoyed, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Follow me on Twitch, and I'll see you guys next time.